First, I just want to say once again thank you to Francois and to Philip and to Wayne for hosting this. And we look forward to learning this evening. But Ellie, over to you.
Well, shit.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? You're on. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I thought I was just drinking tonight. I didn't know I was welcoming, but that's all good. We're not drunk yet. We can do that. No problem. We are live from one of the wine connoisseurs' house that will be speaking tonight. Wine lover, sorry. Francois, welcome. Nice to see you again after a few weeks. Thank you. Thank you for doing this again. And tonight's event is about the very popular, talked about kosher wine brand Cape Jewel, which was rebranded from Villa Cape recently. And there's always a lot of questions about kosher wine. The process of kosher wine is you have to boil it, which is called mevushal, which is the procedure to make it kosher. And then there's a lot of opinion, which is one of the styles. And there's opinions that says that kills it. So one of the things we're going to cover tonight is, does boiling the wine kill it? Does the new flash pasteurization style that people are doing do it a bit better and easier? And how do these compare and how do these taste? So welcome to Francois from Cape Town and Philip and Wayne from here in Joburg. And we will pass it on to you guys to take it over.
Right,
thank you.
Start off, you, the introduction of the wines.
Or maybe just say which one we should fill up in our cups that you'll discuss first, so we can sip and discuss simultaneously.
No, for sure. I will start first off with the Chardonnay. But anyway, welcome here from Cape Town, or in Paarl, where I'm situated. Thank you for having Cape Jewel again tonight. We really appreciate it. And I must say, I'm actually very tired as I'm sitting here. I've just arrived about 45 minutes ago again from the cellar, the same as about 2 weeks ago. And it is actually very exciting to taste the wines again and to actually taste what we tasted today in the cellar and what we experienced there also today. And we had a few learnings there today. The one is that you cannot pump juice against the closed valve. That usually leads to chaos. So we had a bit of fun there today with that. And we're going to try to continue with the fun tomorrow. So just to give you a little bit of feedback, since we've last spoken, we took in last week a little bit of Chenin and Pinot Gris. This week we took in, and today we took in Sauvignon Blanc and Chenin, and last Friday also Sauvignon Blanc. So we're getting into a stage now in the wine, or in the harvesting, where we're more or less done with the whites, and we will be progressing to the reds from next week on. So far, I must say, it looks like a very good quality year for us. We had a little bit of a heat wave down here in the Cape over the weekend, so we were touching again around about the 40-41 degrees Celsius. But now I see, it seems that the winter or the seasons has turned. The old people, or the people many years ago, usually said that the summer begins in Cape Town with thunder and lightning, and it ends with thunder and lightning. So we had Sunday the 40 degrees Celsius, and Monday we had the thunder and lightning. So it seems that was just the way that the summer said to us that his goodbyes. We are probably going into autumn. But yeah, there's still a lot of work to be done today. Or not today, but to be done in the cellars. The Musciac and I actually had today a very interesting also thing that we hadn't. I've heard about it and I've seen about it, but it's the first time that I actually experienced it, is the style that they are starting to make white wines almost the same as red wines. You are also always taught at Stellenbosch or where are the places that if you got a white wine, you got to separate the juice and the skins immediately. But we were fortunate today to actually taste the wine that was fermented, a white wine fermented on the skins for 10 days with pump overs, actually made the exact same way as you would make a red wine. And I must say, I think that might be something that we will try in future with the Cape Jewel range. And like I said in the previous meeting that we had, is we try to push the boundaries, and would like to try new things. So that's definitely, I think, something for the books. So tonight, the first wine that I've got with me is the Chardonnay, and I chose the Chardonnay again for one of the reasons is I think that is the one cultivar that is actually very well suited in the Paarl area. The Chardonnay that we tasting tonight, it is a totally unwooded Chardonnay. It's a 2019 vintage. I think this wine can, if it's cellared correctly, can keep another year or year and a half. But I would definitely not keep it longer than the end of 2022. We would probably be releasing the 2021 Chardonnay around about July, August of this year. So with this wine, it's a non-complicated wine. You'll find that the flavors are predominantly what we experience with Chardonnay. You'll get what we call a little bit of honeysuckle on it. There's a little bit of aging already there, but the palate is quite smooth yet, and I think it's still fresh. And I think one of the reasons why the wines actually keep well is we do believe that we want to put as much carbon dioxide into the wine just prior to bottling, and that usually keeps the wines a little bit fresher. So, yeah, I don't know how you want to handle it, but if you want to ask questions in between, you are more than welcome. Otherwise, I'll throw in a few things in between, but yeah, if there's any comments about the wine.
All right, so I think everyone should try a little bit of it, and let's get a little bit of feedback.
Fine.
Yep.
Cheers, guys.
Philip Wayne, who's talking about the Chardonnay?
Oh, I'll talk about the Chardonnay. Just to start off with, funny enough, since the Rob sent it out, I had a whole lot of WhatsApps and phone calls, and the guys are saying, well, what wine do you really like? What wine is a good wine? What wine is this kind of wine? And, I've got to say, if you walk into a shop with a whole lot of different wines and all of that, and the guy says, well, what do I choose? How can I know what's good or bad? I don't think there is such a thing as a good or bad wine. I think every wine pleases somebody, and everyone's got their own unique tastes, and they've got their own unique preferences. And that's why you see such a large range of wines. And yes, you get a large variety of Chardonnays, but every person's individual, every person's got their own palate. And like I say, every wine pleases somebody. Tasting this wine, like I say, a Chardonnay is normally a dry white wine, goes nicely with your seafoods and all of that. Great for pairing. I think looking at the robes around the table over here, white wine isn't for downing and for red wine. You actually need to savor your wine and actually taste it. But I must tell you, it is a very nice wine. It's very fruity. I had my wine in the fridge, so the bouquet hasn't really come out properly yet while it's a little bit cold. But very fruity, very nice. To be honest with you, I wasn't sure what to expect. I mean, I collect wine, same as Philip collects wine. We've got 400 or 500 bottles of wine that we keep and all of that. And I haven't really picked up any kosher wine, so to speak, because especially with the bushel, normally it takes a lot of the taste away. But to be honest with you, this is one of the nicest tasting Chardonnays I've tasted, that especially being kosher and it's been that flesh boiled. So well done to you.
Oh, Wayne, I think one thing that I definitely agree with you is what you say is you'll find it's very rarely nowadays that you'll find a wine on shelf that has got a wine fault on it. The competition out there is just so I don't know if big is the right word, but there's so much competition that no producer or no owner can actually afford it, that if there's a product of inferior quality on the shelf. And I agree that it is a question of preferred taste and how you experience it. So, yeah. And this wine is just, again, with the Chardonnays, is you get many Chardonnays that you're going to probably pay about 100 to 150 Rand a bottle. I think what we must understand about the Chardonnay and our white wines is actually produced for everyday drinking, not necessarily only with food. So if you just want to have a chill and have a glass of wine, then this will suit perfectly. And what is always amazing for me, it is just make sure that what we call is the heat is just out of it. So if you haven't refrigerated, just drop 1 or 2 blocks of ice in it, and really it drinks exceptionally well in the summer.
I must say, despite Wayne, all my wines are kosher. So
yeah.
Come on camera, Phil.
But no, I must say, I'm really impressed with the Chardonnay. If you hadn't told me it was a kosher wine and we weren't looking at it, it's interesting the Bethlehem labels on the cork when we opened them up. But it's actually a very nice wine. So yeah, well done.
Gosh, go. I think what we should also try and do a lot, if we can, Francois, is that a lot of the guys aren't sure about what wines to drink when and etc. like that. And as you said, for me, I'm a kind of a strange creature, and I normally find my red wines in winter and my white wines in summer, and especially depending what you're going to be eating, and that you really kind of try and pair a wine. On a hot summer's day, you having a blacker, bright fish or whatever else. Not the Chardonnay is the perfect match. You don't go and look for a different type of wine. I think it's important that as we go through this, we talk about the pairings and what wine is, and it is not always that's the wine you should be. It's what wine is preferable to marry with the food, because with your fish being oily and all of that, you'll go for your dry wine with your fruitiness, which kind of cuts through the oil as well. And you won't believe, but your wine actually then lands up improving the taste of your food as well and the pairing of it.
Yeah, no, Wayne, definitely. But at the end, what we are trying to do is, as winemakers also, is we also want to almost break this paradigm that you got to drink a certain wine with a certain food. For us nowadays, is a lot of people are actually, if they get to a table in a restaurant or to friends, they are sometimes a little bit intimidated almost to bring a wine to the table. So in general, there's usually that you'll go for your pastas and your fishes and those things with your white wines. But don't forget, we don't produce it. But don't forget, for instance, if you've got a nice Pinot Noir, for instance, with a nice pasta or fish, which is a lighter style wine, can also work well with it. So what we would like to always do is just refer to the styles of the wine. So you'll find that all our wines are either unoaked in the white wine range or in the red wine. Some of them are unoaked, otherwise subtly oaked wines. So they are your medium body type wines. So that is something that if you want to drink that with a pasta dish, that is something that can work with it. You don't necessarily have to drink only our wines, a white wine with that. But if you go to your more traditional wooded wines, that is something where you got to go and find that if it's a heavy wine, that you get something that can goes with that. So then you'll usually eat something more heavy with it, or more creamy. And what helps a lot of times is, and that is actually, if I can tell you a little joke, maybe a winemaker's trick, if you can call it that, is if we've got a wine that is very tannic, actually, we will present cheese before the time. Because what happens is your tannins, when a wine is very tannic, it's is these little chains, the tannins. Yeah, there you go.
Not prepared.
And then as the wine ages, you'll find that these little chains connect to each other, and it forms longer chains. Now, if you look at your tongue, you'll find that your tongue is this little droplets almost in, which is your taste buds. So what happens over time, if you've got a very tannic wine, you give a person cheese, because what happens is the cheese fills up those pores. So all the harsh tannins actually goes just straight over, and you don't taste it. But that is also why a red wine improves with time, because these little tannic chains, if I can call it that, it just becomes longer and longer. So it doesn't go into those taste buds anymore, and then the wine becomes smoother. So if you've got a wine that is a little bit tannic and you want to impress your guests, give them a board of cheese, and it will be the smoothest wine that they ever tasted. Otherwise, yeah, you can shorten a 5 to 7.5 year maturing time in a question of half an hour.
I think that's probably why, with all the cheese that are sitting in front of me over here, that the wine tasted so good.
For sure. I'm sure without the cheese, it would have been great also.
Which one should we do next?
Okay, so the next one is the rosé that I've got with me. So the rosé, at this moment, you'll see that the color is and that is something that we talked about the previous time. The color is not anymore this bright purple, orange type of colors, purple, pink colors. It is more brick color at this moment. We try to make the rosé in a style which is very light. We use Shiraz grapes for our rosé. There's also a little bit of bottle maturation already on the wines. And again, the rosé has got the shelf life of the same time as more or less the whites. So again, the 2021 whites we will be releasing around about August, September of this year. And what we usually do with the rosé wine is we lift the residual sugar also just that little bit, so it is a little bit more accessible to the average drinker. But yeah, still very consumable or very drinkable, the wine. You'll find that you also get a little bit of that honeysuckle type of flavors, a little bit of maturation there. But again, nice, medium bodied on the palate and easy drinkable. So the rosé is just something that evolves over time. What we will do definitely this year is we're going to make it a little bit lighter in style. And that is just the demand, or the people actually prefer it in a lighter way or a lighter color nowadays. Usually how we were presented to rosés was this sickly sweet wines with a low alcohol, high sugar. Nowadays the people are getting more refined, I think, and they prefer more your dry type of rosés running around the 4 to 6 grams per liter. So yeah, your feedback would be great.
Yeah, so just let me, if I may ask, so just for those that might not know, your rosé is made from red grapes. The difference is that the wine is only kept with the skins for a short period of time, normally max 24 hours, which gives it your pinkish hue. Just on this one over here, it's nice, but it's a lot drier than a lot of other rosés. Is that what you're aiming for?
Yeah, that is what we're aiming for. So what we are aiming for here is actually more your refined drinker. So the evolution, how the evolution more or less works is if you start drinking wine, most of the people will start drinking on sweet wines. And when you get to a dry white or a dry red, that is where your evolution almost stops in wine drinking. So what we try and do here is we still want to express the cultivar. We don't want something that is just smelling of candy floss, strawberries. We want something that's a little bit more complex, and we are definitely aiming here for your more mature drinker, if you can put it in that terms. So it's something that will be, and that is why we're just playing it a little bit to 6 or 7 grams of residual sugar. So it is dry, but it's not dry. you'll find that somebody that's drinking a semi-sweet wine will still maybe drink this also.
We have a question over here.
Hey, Francois. A quick question. Hi. You talk about manipulating the color of the rosé and playing with the sugar to make it more or less dry. How easy or difficult is that to do? And is that something that you have a lot of control over, or is it kind of random when the wine starts to ferment in a certain way?
No. Everything is very much controlled. So in terms of the color, it is just like Wayne said, is we give it a certain number of skin contact. But what we must also understand that during fermentation, you lose color in the wine. So the wine becomes lighter in color. So what we usually done, it is just experience over time. So first of all, when we start making the rosé, when we gaten the grapes, we will look at the berry size. Because if the berry size was smaller this year, then we will have the skin contact time shorter. If the berry size is bigger, then we will have it longer. So the berry size is very important in the amount of skin contact that we're going to allow to get to the right color. And then, so it is for us, we do a measurement. It's a piece of equipment, you call it a spectrometer, so we know at what level we must be. Then we go into fermentation, and then around about 6 to 7 grams, we stop the fermentation. And we stop it by adding sulfur, cleaning the wines, adding bentonite, and then filtering it out. The other way that we can do with the rosé to stop it also, but we tend to do the flash pasteurizer at a different stage, but you can also use the flash pasteurizer actually to stop the ferment at 6 or 7 degrees or 6 or 7 grams. So it's something that we've got very good control over. So it's not a thumb suck, and it is something that we specifically aim for.
Cool, cheers, thank you.
So I just wanted to ask you about all the different wines. I'm sure you treat it differently, but when you're doing the mavisseling, at which stage on the red wines, is it after the crushing section, or is it after the casking? Where is it that you're actually doing this? Because obviously that's got a major impact on the taste. So the more you get the crushing and the casking, the more taste it's actually getting before you flash boil it.
Yeah, the thing is Wayne, there's two aspects. One is a quality aspect, and in some cases there's a bit of a practicality also. So with the white wines and then the Chardonnay, it is, you can go and you can do it we'll do it at a different time, where we do the flash pasteurization. In general, for me, with the reds, so for us, the Chardonnay and the rosés and the white wines, like I said, there's a certain time that we do the flash pasteurization, and that is for us something that we worked out over 8 years. So it's a little bit of a trade, or a little bit of a, I can say it's a little bit of a trade secret for us. The red wines for me, I usually do after malolactic fermentation. And I think that is when most of the people does it. And the reason for that is also, it's not necessarily, your red wines can take the process of flash pasteurization much better than your white wines. So there it is for me actually better to do it afterwards. And the reason for that is it's just out of microbial point of view. So after malolactic fermentation, primary fermentation, it is important that we kill everything in the wine in terms of what is living. So then we usually do the boiling afterwards.
Okay, so then obviously if you're doing it after the malolactic process, that obviously it doesn't affect the acidity of the wine by the pasteurization.
No. The pasteurization is not going to affect that, but all the other processes that lead up to that affects the inherent composition of the wine. And that is also something that is that is where your timing and when you do certain things. And that was what was for me for today very interesting, where we had the opportunity to taste these white wines that's been for 14 days on skin. And I thought that it would have been a very tannic and harsh wine, but it's actually such an amazing wine. And that is, again, it's something that you learn over time, and that is how you adjust over time. So that is why a winemaker will always, we write everything down. So then we actually go so far to say that on this specific day when we harvested, it was 23 degrees Celsius, wind was blowing at the speed. This was more or less the humidity. So we know what was going on the outside. And then we compare that with each year. And what a lot of people actually don't understand, to get a really fine wine, it's years and years and years of practice, keeping with the same blocks, trying different things till you get there where you want to be.
Phil, you're not much of a rosé person. Dawn's the main rosé person. What's your thoughts?
What I find with a woman is after the first glass, it actually doesn't matter. Right, just pop the ice in it, and it all goes down well. But so, Francois, if you just take call it a non-kosher wine versus a kosher wine, and if you prepared it almost exactly the same way, what is the impact, right, of the pasteurization on the taste? Not the technical side of it, but just in terms of taste.
Philip, for me, I've done these experiments many times, because we prepared wines that we made non-Mouvichal, where there was no flash pasteurization involved, and then we made the same wine with the same grapes, and we flash pasteurized it at a certain time. And again, we had a group of about 15 Israeli people that were here from a big retailer in Israel. And we had both wines in front of them, and they tasted blind, and they actually couldn't pick the difference between the two. But again, it is always a question of, you do the flash pasteurization, but the question is what do you do before that to prepare the product for flash pasteurization, and what do you do after that to help the product recover from the process? And that is where I think the secrets are lying with this.
Yeah.
So it's almost like surgery. It's before you go on with the patient into surgery, there's certain things you've got to do. Afterwards, there's certain care that you've got to take also. So, but again, like I said, that is how you handle the process. You must have a full understanding of the process out of a scientific perspective. So what you do before and after and while you are doing it, that is very important.
Where do the other guys get wrong?
Sorry?
I can tell you that many years ago, they got it wrong by boiling the skins and everything together. That is definitely not the way to go. But again, like I said, Philip, there's a few things that is very important. But unfortunately, like I said, is if I go and reveal all that, then everybody's kosher wine is going to be up to a very high standard. And the thing is what we also wanted to do, I spoke to my business partner also in this year. We want to start writing in these wines for commercial wine competitions, where it stands against any other product that's being produced in South Africa. And we want to see how it does. And I'm sure that we will be able to walk away with a few medals there. And I think that will also start breaking the perception that Mouvichal and flash pasteurization is always a negative thing.
Right, which one should we try next?
Okay, the next one, I think we can taste the Shiraz, and then we can go over to the Merlot. The Merlot is still going to be a little bit young. The Merlot is a 2020 vintage, and I think the Shiraz is probably also going to be 2019, if I'm not mistaken.
You want to aerate it or just drink it straight?
Aerate it.
You can you can just drink it straight. Aeration is one of those things. I think it is something that can work, but then you got to decant the whole bottle. You got to keep it. You got to keep the bottle for or in a container for about 20 to 30 minutes. Please don't do what we did in universities, where you put your thumb on the bottle and you just shake it and then you think it's aerated.
Are you saying that does not work?
So I opened these about half an hour before the tasting, so they've had a nice proper time to breathe.
So yeah, so the thing is what I said also the previous time is, if you want something to breathe, let it get out of the bottle, let it relax a little bit, and then put it back into the bottle. I usually use a glass salad bowl for letting my wine breathe. So you don't need a fancy decanter. A glass, any glass bottle.
Are you saying that like the more open and the wider, the better, or this is what you have?
The more contact you got with the air, the more it aerates.
Yeah. Yeah, the more contact with you got, the better you are. Yeah. So it's just very difficult sometimes to get the bottle or the wine back into the bottle. So if it comes late in the evening, then you just take the bowl and you just like lift it a little bit.
Not too often we end up with an empty bowl, so I think it becomes a problem. But
so Philip and I have been drinking wine together for many, many, many years, and we've got a saying that irrespective of whether you actually fancy the wine or not, somebody spent a lot of time making it, you better finish it.
No, that is for sure. But I must say, in my life, I drank 1 or 2 bottles of wine that I just couldn't get it down. So I am also a firm believer that life is a little bit too short. So if you drink something decent.
Yeah. Now this Shiraz that you've got here is quite light in color compared to others.
Yeah, and that is the reason for that is, Wayne, is like I said, is our wines are more of a lighter style of red wine. It's not a heavy wine. It is a wine that will be described as medium to full-bodied wines. So that is something that we're definitely going to work on this year. So what we're going to do is we're going to step the wine in quality, not in quality, but in style, so that it becomes a little more fuller. But what we will and what we really do want to do is we want to keep the wine as accessible and as early accessible as possible. We know sometimes that we would like to get in a situation where we have about a year to a year and a half of the wine before we release it. But sometimes you can't do it, and then you've got to release in the same year that you actually made the wine. So the aging potential of these wines, of the red wines, is definitely not 10 to 20 or 30 years. Then you're going to be very disappointed when you open the bottle. So the red wines that we make has got a aging potential, I will say, for about 5 to 6 years.
So what the red wines that we're going to... So what is ideal? I mean, most of the reds that I drink, I keep them in my cellar until about 7 years or so before I start opening them up. What is the ideal time to open up these reds?
No, I will say these reds will definitely, around about 4 years after harvest, they will definitely show their best potential. So for me, it's definitely not something that you must keep for 10 years. I will say around about 4 to 7 years. I think with the 2021 vintage going forward, that is something that we will be working on, that we get aging of about 7.5 years. But the thing is what we want to be careful of is we do want the people to be able to drink the wine whenever they buy it from shelf. Because the reality is most of people, they make a buying decision, and research has shown that from purchase of shelf till they've consumed it is usually within 36 to 48 hours. So you don't get a lot of people that's you're talking maybe about the 1 or 2% of the wine drinkers in South Africa that will go and age wines. So we've got to find a happy medium in between, where if there's somebody that wants to age the wines, if there's a bit of aging potential, but if somebody wants to drink it now, they must be able to drink it also.
And the cost.
But I will say about four.
The cost of the Shiraz and the Merlot.
If you say the cost, what do you mean?
What price are you going to pay? What price are you going to pay in the stores?
Oh, these wines will retail in the stores depending on whether they are on promotion or not. Anything between $89.99 to $99.99. So we try to keep the
a half a kosher chicken.
If I may ask, what is that?
Francois knows wine prices, not chicken prices. We're now halfway through, so we just want to make sure, remind everyone to fill your glasses. We've moved from the white to the rosé to the red. So hopefully you're all opening up a nice bottle of red and joining in so you can actually experience what we're doing here. And now that we're on red, Philip, that's your expertise. What are your thoughts on the first red?
I think the Shiraz is, as Francois said, it's quite light. I'm used to a more, let's say, full-bodied, wine. I think the cheese that I had has taken away the tannin, so I can't taste any of that. So that seems to be good.
Maybe it's a good thing.
There's quite a few tannins, Paul.
Are there a couple? Well, I don't think it went well with the Camembert, I must be honest. Okay. No, I think it's, it's easy drinkable. Not something, wouldn't be one of those ones that you're saying I just can't do. So Wayne, I think there's a good chance we'll finish the bottle. No, very, very nice. I
must say, I think Achim van Arnhem is one of the very renowned winemakers in the Franschhoek Valley. I think he put MCC also in the map in South Africa. And he said to me once that he wants a person that drinks 2 bottles of wine and not write 2 pages about his wine. So that is more or less the same way that we feel is we don't want people to start writing poetry when they drink our wines. We want them to enjoy it and to drink a bottle and drink a second bottle with friends. And that's the whole idea. So I think we will evolve over time and maybe in the next 3 to 5 years to a position where we do have those wines where one can write some poetry about. But for now, we try to make a wine that is accessible to everybody and that is easily drinkable. And that's why we will slowly but surely move more to the fuller type of wines over time.
Just maybe a note, just talking about the actual wine itself. Just something for everybody. I mean, especially in these times where we are now, is that, a lot of things, people have associations with memories. And for me, wine, I always associate with different things, right? And by and large, I can always say that, one of my best things when I get together with my mates, we're having a glass of nice red wine and that. So I associate my red wine with getting together with my mates around a supper club, etc. And I think people need to do that and try and associate your wine with the memory and of a special time and all of that. And that's what it's all about. You're drinking your wine to be social and to be and to join and connect with friends. It's almost like a vehicle to connect.
Wayne, I think that is the most important thing that you say about marketing, and what a lot of people actually don't understand is what we actually want to try is you want to create an opportunity where people can come together and they enjoy a wine, and the wine almost just makes that gathering much better. So that is the whole idea. The wine is just there to help things, to enhance things, and to build memories around.
Okay. As the Rolf would say, and I mean the Rolf, you can talk over there. We've got a thing that it's always good to have Bain with friends. Bain is the get together and have a drink with friends, and socialize, and that's probably the best part of spirituality, is getting together and talking and being social with other people.
The Rav also says the bracha is at the bottom.
But unfortunately, Ellie, you don't get to taste it on the way down that way.
Yeah, listen. So the first one or two, you're meant to sip and get in all the flavor, and then if Wayne keeps pouring you cups, and we need to get to the next one, you just shoot the rest down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think back to what Wayne was saying, and also what you were saying. If you see the little cork holder that I've got there, it's in the front. I'm not sure if it comes through the right way around, but it says the best wines are those that you drink with friends. So ultimately, that's really what it's about, is the enjoyment that comes out of the company, let's say, accompanied by the wine, and the time that you actually have around it.
Yeah. No, that is very
good
true.
to know, because Wayne invited us all to join him. You didn't.
Then I don't know how much time we would have still, but yeah. But what I actually want to do is, like I said, I don't know how much time we have tonight. But the one thing that I want to make sure that we're not missing out is the Gewürztraminer that you also got with you in the blue bottle.
Yeah.
And there's also a reason why I kept it to last, because that is a sweet wine.
Yeah.
So if you want, you can taste the Merlot. The Merlot is the 2020 harvest. Very young still, so you've got to be patient with that. But I think also very accessible already. But that wine definitely will improve marketably over the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, so I mean, Merlot's kind of, Philip, and my go-to wine. For those that don't know, Merlot is far lower in tannins, so it's a lot smoother kind of wine to drink. Goes exceptionally well with your chickens and your meats and all of that kind of stuff. And it's a really nice wine in that, because of the low tannins, you don't get that dry kind of taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
And you can actually work your way through a couple of bottles before you actually starting to get that draw back kind of feeling.
Yeah. But I must say, Merlot is also one of the more challenging grapes to work with as a winemaker.
Sorry, somebody's asking what the brand is. I'm going to put it up over here. It's called Cape Jewel. It's a brand that's come out with all kosher wines, a large variety, and I can honestly say it is ultimately probably the best kosher wines that I've tasted. Rolf, even the ones you give me to taste, this is the best kosher wines to taste.
Unbelievable. I can't compare, but I think it's great.
So, Francois, before I taste it,
it's actually very nice and easy.
Francois, before I taste the Merlot, should I be having a piece of cheese, or can I just go straight?
No, go natural. Go natural.
I think you can go straight.
Go straight, and we want to hear your honest opinion on the Merlot, because now we're getting to the serious dry reds, and this is where we really need to hear your feedback, guys. Like it.
It's nice. Very nice.
So, Francois, if Philip and Wayne appreciate your Merlot, we can get rid of the stigma that people are saying that when kosher wine is boiled or flash boiled, either one kills the taste and flavor. I think we can honestly rule that out. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with you there. Definitely.
If guys watching, it's nice wine to actually drink.
And it's a Metzia at under 100 Rand a bottle of wine. You can't go wrong. You don't buy a bottle of wine anymore. You buy a case of wine. Delicious.
And the thing is what is for us very important is, like I said, is that we want to make the wine accessible to all people. It mustn't be something, like I said, it must be something that fits the pocket of everybody, and it must be enjoyed by everybody.
Yeah, so we're just wanting it's called Cape Jewel. There's another person who was looking. It's called Cape Jewel. And we've got tonight the Cape Jewel Merlot, the Shiraz, the Rosé, the Chardonnay, and the one that you don't normally order in a restaurant because you can't pronounce it, the Gewürztraminer.
Yeah.
Gewürztraminer.
So the Gewürztraminer is a very traditional European wine, very flavorful, sweet wine. So in our life, it's got about 32 grams of sugar in there. So that's why we also kept it for last. But we thought that it is something that we would like to be different, because there's not a lot of people that make it, and that is the reason why it's also in the blue bottle. It's just to stand out, to make a statement. But I think that is still something that a lot of South Africans don't drink that much. But like I said, it's a sweet wine at 32 grams, very flavorsome, and then with an alcohol of about 10% alcohol. So light wine, but very, very accessible.
What is the difference between the Gewürztraminer and late harvest? A late harvest is also sweet wine.
Okay, so if we call it Gewürztraminer, then it is actual grape.
Just say it again for me.
Gewürztraminer. So that is actually a specific cultivar. If you call it a late harvest or a special late harvest, then it refers to sugar content. So if you are a special late harvest, then you will have to run between 24 and 30 grams per liter. And you can actually make it out of any cultivar. So you can use Chenin, Chardonnay, Riesling, whatever, and you can call it a special late harvest. But if it's called Gewürztraminer, then it says that it is made of the Gewürztraminer grape. And that is something, it's actually very interesting. When we harvest it, it has got such a pinkish, almost orange color. The skins, you almost can't believe that it's a white wine. But it makes a very, very lovely and very perfumey white wine.
It's the bouquet is unbelievable on this.
Yeah.
I must say, Francois,
that stuff is dangerous.
I must say, one of the first white wines that I ever, let's say, started drinking many years ago was Neertlingshof Gewürztraminer. And I must be honest, I haven't been able to make it anywhere close to as good, let's say, lately. But this comes very close. So I must say, well done. It's a really, really nice one.
Thank you.
Nice. And then just on the
I know the Neertlingshof.
Yeah. On the pairing part, I mean, I think it's a little bit, like you say, this is kind of a after dinner kind of wine, maybe instead of your Wiener Constanzas and your 1769s and all of that. But, you know, if you go and look up what the actual pairing of this is, it's to do with curries, really, with Indian food and the kind of the
that is what I wanted to say. Your strong curries.
Yeah, because it kind of eases on the tongue nicely after a little bit of a burn. You know, let me tell you something. So at Kabad River Club, we've got a breakfast club. And when you talk about on the tongue, so on a Saturday morning at 9:15, we have a bit of kichel with a bit of chili salmon, nice hot chili salmon, with Tabasco on it. And you have that. And then we always keep a bottle of black label in the freezer. And you pour a shot of the black label, which is now nearly syrup. And you put on the tongue. It's actually, after that hot taste and the hot and the chili on your tongue, it's got a totally different taste to what you normally have. And you can see with this kind of a wine, after a hot meal when you're eating a curry or something like that, or even a stew, it's very nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we are, like I said the previous time, is we're going to bring out a few more. We're going to bring out a few more cultivars also this year. So things that is definitely not, I haven't seen it really on shelves for kosher products. Hopefully that will be interesting. But like I said, the whole idea behind Cape Jewel is we want to get whatever is good in that area that is growing there. Like I said, we are very specific on where we source our grapes from. And then we want to try and increase the quality and improve of the quality every year so that everybody can have and enjoy it. And I just want to show also something maybe that a lot of you don't know. We also have this little can.
Yeah.
Cape Jewel's sparkling grape juice. So it is exactly as our grape juice that we've got currently in the bottle. The only difference is we've carbonated this product, and it is, I must say, it is something that is very, very accessible, and it is also currently in promotion. And for all of you who is looking for Cape Jewel wines, you'll find it at all the regular places. So Norman Goodfellow stock it, Kosher World stock it, most of the Checkers stock it, most of the spas in the areas are stocking it, and then there's also one or two Pick and Pays. And if you really can't get hold of it anywhere, then you can go online and you can order the products there. So everything is available, and usually our delivery is not that bad, so it's quite quickly. But yeah, otherwise, I'm not sure, but I'll just make sure that all the people that is carrying our stock will be also on our website if you want to go there.
So what you can say as one of the viewers here saying, you can use this as your Kiddush wine at night, on a Friday night for Shabbos, because a lot of people, you know, especially with the kids, don't have the alcohol, and it's great to have as a Kiddush wine.
Yeah, good option.
Yeah, and the thing is if it's cold, it is exceptionally good drinking. I must say, this is also that on a warm summer's day, I drink quite a lot of it. So yeah.
Guys, we are getting to the end of the time allotted for this Zoom. We do have the last couple of minutes. If anybody has any questions for any of our wine lovers, Wayne or Philip, or for Francois himself, please put them in the chat box. We'll read them out. A few of the questions that have come through, we've already addressed in the chat. So if you have any last minute questions for Q&A, we have a few minutes for Q&A. Put them in the chat box now. And Francois, have we done all the wines for tonight?
We've done all the wines.
We've done them all.
Yeah, we've done all the wines. It's not all the wines in the range, but I think that gives you a good overview of the type of quality that is available.
Okay, and can we just get a quick summary of what you have planned for the next 12 months? Is anything new coming out? Just a quick summary of what we can expect.
Yeah, for sure. What we're going to do is there's a few new cultivars that is coming out. I must say, I'm probably not going to tell you which ones, because some of them I'm still not sure whether I'm going to be able to make it. So I can't figure out why people haven't made kosher wines out of it yet. So it could be that there's a very valid reason, but I'm going to try to make wines out of these cultivars. So I can tell you at this moment.
Kosher consumers, thank you for making kosher wines out of cups we haven't been able to taste before.
Maybe you need to try a kosher dessert wine. I mean, you're halfway there.
Yeah, that is definitely something that we can do. And but the thing is what we try and do is we want also to be an education process, so that the people can experience all the cultivars. So we'll keep you on with our Facebook or with the internet. We'll keep you updated on where how we proceed with it. Somebody just asked, Norwood is not
can you just look at those last two questions?
Yeah, it is. It's sold in Checkers and Spar. The only Pick and Pay up in Johannesburg that is currently stocking it is Ferndale, as far as I know. But please go and ask the people of Norwood why they aren't stocking it. Most of the Checkers, the Spars, and the Spar in Norwood is definitely carrying it.
Okay, and finally, do you plan on keeping this brand as a bottle, as a wine of like a sub 100 Rand bottle, or do you think there'll be a bigger range, more expensive ones later, or are you trying to keep it for the accessible to all market?
No, I think for us it is to keep it as accessible for the market.
So it's a good quality but low budget wine.
Yeah, I wouldn't say low budget, but because there's also a connotation about that. So what we will say is we want to have a good product that is affordable to everybody. But at the end of the day, it is not necessarily to say that we are going to be hitting a little bit lower than the other guys in price points, that the quality is not there.
Yeah. I think, Francois, you must give the Rov your details so I can get it from him as well, and we can talk.
Yeah, no, for sure. And a low alcohol Moscato, asking about when we will see low alcohol Moscato. That is something that we are busy with. But that is one of the things that I still got to figure out on how we actually going to do it. Low alcohol is something very tricky to get the balance right. So that is something that we are working on.
So Wayne, rate the 5 from top to bottom.
Here we go. And you're next, Philip.
Okay, I'll tell you my favorite.
I think he says the cheese is number 1.
So Phil, I'll probably rate the unanswerable first.
Really?
The first picture.
Yeah.
Did you love this?
It was very nice.
Okay.
The Merlot was a little bit too subtle for me, right? Needed a little bit more body. I think the Shiraz had a nice body. I really, really liked the Chardonnay, right? And yeah,
Rosé?
the Rosé was a little bit dry for me. I like a little bit sweeter Rosé. But again, let me emphasize to everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
Every wine pleases somebody. That is my taste.
Yeah.
Your taste may be different. Phil, and you?
Phil, we want to hear a full 5-bottle report. Let's go.
All 5 bottles. Gewürztraminer was my favorite. Chardonnay number 2. Shiraz, Merlot, then the Rosé. That's my tasting. But again, all right, the best wines are those drunk with friends. So as long as we're drinking together, all right, I think they're all fantastic.
So, Francois, forgive us for being the same, but we've actually literally been drinking wine together for 42 years.
Wow. 42 years.
So now Philip and Wayne are going to bring out the most expensive bottle. We're going to see who's got a better bottle in their stash of 40 years. No, not joking. Go bring your most expensive bottle.
Philip's got the most expensive bottle.
Okay.
I got it for his 50th.
Oh, Philip, next time, in 2 weeks when we do this again, we'll be at your place.
Got a 1964 Chateau Haut-Brion.
Okay. Any last questions? We're going to end it off. We are going a little bit over time. And Khamat of Zoom always likes finishing on time. We'd like to thank Francois again for giving us of your evening and your time. Thank you for putting so much time and effort and creativity into advancing the kosher wine in South Africa. I myself come from Australia. We've got a couple of brands there, but I think we've got a much bigger, fresher range here. We'd also like to thank Philip and Wayne, who are big wine lovers and members of our shul, for their expertise and their opinions. And hopefully we will see you all again in a few weeks for the next one.
Thank you. And thank you for having us scheduled here. We really appreciate it, and I hope that you'll keep your eyes on our products and that you'll be amazed of what we do with the quality going forward.
100%. We're looking forward to everyone in Johannesburg. You can go to all the shops mentioned above.
And the Cape Jewel online.
And the Cape Jewel online website directly. You can go to them directly and order it, and it will be delivered to your home. How long does delivery take from your factory straight to people's houses?
It's usually about 4 to 5 days.
4 to 5 days, you can have it direct, or if you're driving around, you can go to Kosher World, Normal Goodfellas, any of the local retailers to collect your wine. Have a lovely evening, and Shabbat Shalom for
Same
Friday.
to you.
Shabbos.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Philip and Wayne again.